Are you considering buying and are playing Darkest Dungeon, but want to be sure it's worth your time and money, as well as being safe for your mental health first? This is the video for you, friend. I'm the CC and Let CC Play, and this is an Anxious Gamer review. Darkest Dungeon sees you inheriting your ancestral estate, which has been corrupted and overran by otherworldly horrors that you must slowly work to cleanse by hiring and managing heroes and repairing the town that resides below your estate. The game plays out in weeks. During each week, you start out in town, which I'll come back to shortly. The main event of each week will be leading a team of 4 heroes through one of the 4 available dungeons in order to acquire gold for upgrading heroes, heirlooms for upgrading the town, and leveling up to one day travel into the Darkest Dungeon. During this expedition, you will explore and engage in turn-based combat. There are 2 aspects for each hero, their health and their sanity, both of which are fairly unique here. Now I hear you thinking, "Old Callie, it's HP, it's in most games. You run out and that character kicks the bucket." Simple. Well, in Darkest Dungeon, running out of HP isn't the end by itself, but it's still certainly not good. A hero being at 0 HP will instead be at death's door, with each hit while they remain there having a chance to be a death blow. Thankfully, there are healers that can bring them out of death's door, but they will be debuffed for the remainder of the mission. The other aspect of heroes is their stress. This one is longer lasting than health. As long as a hero doesn't die, they will be full health and free of debuffs once they get back to town. Stress, on the other hand, takes time or money to deal with, and should a hero's stress get away from you, it can have quite an impact on the entire party, as once they hit 100 stress, the meter will reduce a bit and their resolve will be tested. Most of the time, this will be something bad, known as an affliction, which will cause them to disobey orders or stress out the other party members. Once in a while, though, they will instead become virtuous, and when this happens, it can single-handedly turn a struggling run around. Once the objective of that specific run is finished, be it simple exploring or even hunting down one of the horrifying bosses that reside in each area, your team will head back to town with the loot that they were able to carry out. At this time, they may develop additional negative or positive quirks, and this seems as good a time as any to discuss them. Your heroes will start with some quirks when you first hire them, and as I just mentioned, more can be randomly acquired at the end of dungeons. Some of them are quite good, like more accuracy, speed, or even cheaper armor or weapon upgrades, but others are very, very bad and can force them to interact with potentially dangerous objects or stealing some of your loot for themselves. Which finally leads me to the last part, the town. Any heroes you don't take with you to the dungeon can instead be left in town to aid in their stress reduction at the church or the tavern, or assigned to the sanitarium to manage their quirks or diseases. Diseases being kind of like negative quirks, but instead of coming randomly at the end of dungeons, they can be contracted from certain filthy enemies, and are a bit cheaper to deal with. Whew! That was a lot, but I think I got all the important basics covered, so it's time for the highlight on my reviews. Does this game contain any potential triggers for the various incarnations of mental illness? Despite having to manage the mental health of your heroes, still it is handled in a way that doesn't contain any triggers. A lot of them are more like debuffs, and I always felt very disconnected from it. However, this game can be incredibly frustrating. One mistake can cascade into a run falling apart and you losing heroes you've invested 10 plus hours into. So if you are easily frustrated, be careful. As always, I'll include some clips so you can see what the game is like, and I'll talk about my final verdict.
The abyss returns even the boldest gaze. Behold the infinite malignity of the stars.
So do I recommend Darkest Dungeon? That is a difficult question for me to answer. It's a game with some problems, like how it can be quite grindy and samey at times, yet despite that I always enjoy playing it. Sometimes I'll take a break for a couple weeks or a couple months, but I always end up coming back to see my estate just how I left it. However, given how frustrating the game can be, I'm often hesitant to tell someone to pick it up, despite how much I love it, and don't even get me started on the announcer.
I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor.
If you are someone who is easily frustrated, stay away. If on the other hand you are almost always level-headed, and it looks like your kind of game from the clips, I definitely think it's a fantastic game and worth the time it will take you to master it, and it will take a lot of time. You'll get quite a bang for your buck at the base price of $25. If you wait for a sale, you'd get even more bang. It would be an absolute steal. If you enjoyed this and found my review helpful, I always appreciate you taking the time for a thumbs up, subscription, and of course dinging that little bell. If you got the time, here's a link for another video. I don't like to give exact time frames anymore, but in the coming weeks I will be doing each of the DLCs, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. And I hope to see you in the next one. CC, out.